And a good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, Director at WEIU. Today we're talking all things Mattoon. We have Mattoon Mayor Rick Hall here. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
I'm going to need you to move a little closer to that mic.
Okay, get a little closer.
And Mattoon City Administrator Kyle Gill.
Good afternoon.
Same to you, Kyle. Hey, thanks for coming in on this beautiful Monday morning in Coles County. Let's just talk about, since the last time you were here, you've been busy, a lot of things happening in Mattoon. But the real big thing that's happened, obviously, Emerald Acres is up and running and open. They had a great opening event with the breakfast, and they had wrestling this weekend. So maybe just talk about that and things happening in Mattoon.
Okay. I'll start out. A year ago, it's hard to believe that there was nothing there but a farm field. And now we've got a 140,000 square foot facility there. There's just a beautiful facility, and it's already put to use. We had the chamber breakfast there, the joint chamber breakfast between Mattoon and Charleston. Had almost twice the number of people they could serve there, and it turned out really well. And it's just been a great deal. So I'll let.
Yeah, they had their first tournament over the weekend. They had a wrestling for younger kids, and I showed a couple pictures of you guys of that. But nice turnout. They had 300 wrestlers, I believe. They thought they had around 1,800 people in the facility, and it was only a quarter of the gym floor. So it was just amazing to see that many people, but yet there's so much ability there.
How do you feel about now that it's happened? It was a long time in the run, a lot of hard work, a lot of they always say handshakes and all that stuff. But now that there's events happening there, it's open for business. Do you feel a sense of accomplishment, or do you feel a sense of like, man, we need this thing to go? I mean, how's that?
Accomplishment, but then also as okay, let's start getting these events in here. Let's get it packed. Let's make sure that it does what it's supposed to do, and that Mattoon is welcoming to these people, so that we put on good tournaments and want people to come back for more.
There's a lot of parts of the success of this program, and it's certainly not one person or even two or three people. It's a lot of people together. It's people that donate money. It's people that donate land. It's people that put the financial numbers together and the projections. And there's a lot of parts to this. 3.5 years ago, basically, when we started on this, the city got involved. We didn't really know exactly how it would all come out, and there was a lot of problem solving that had to be done. We thought one way would work, and we ended up doing something else. But it always worked out, and I think we're extremely lucky. It's not over yet. We've really, even though this indoor facility is a great facility, that's phase one. Phase two is the next one.
Yep.
We're selling more bonds for phase two. We're spending a lot of time with that right now, and when that gets done. And we really have been highly successful with the retail coming in, the hotels, and all that kind of thing, and that of course that's what helps pay for that.
Yep. And phase two is the outdoor facilities plus some of the more of the retail out there. So tell me a little bit about the timeline and what's planned out there in terms of the progress and when that place that part of it will be open for business, as they say.
Yeah. So we have a phase two funding incentive agreement on the agenda tomorrow night at the council meeting. So we'll hopefully get that passed. Then after the first of the year, we'll start doing a RFQ for consultants to finish up the bonding. Who's going to do the underwriting and get the bonds ready to go. So we hope that they'll sell the bonds probably February or March, or first week of March, or somewhere in that area.
Okay.
And of course, that'll provide the funding to do the work that needs to be done. We're not really looking for a lot more donations, because we did most of the fundraising for phase one, and we borrowed some money to do that also. But phase two, the financial numbers are coming together the way we had hoped that they would, and we will see more. You'll see more activity out there. And the location and the geographic setup of all that facility is just perfect. We've got literally, and I've used this number before, but we got 40,000 cars that go across one intersection with Interstate 57 and Route 16 every day. That's the average number of calls, and they're all going to see that facility. Once that's lit up at night, particularly outdoor facility, and all the restaurants and everything else there, you're going to see a lot of activity out there. And of course, one of the things that come up, by the way, I'll just lead it with this one, about how are we going to handle all the traffic? Well, we are working on a lot. We knew this was going to be an issue. We're working on a lot of things to expand the ability to handle the traffic and turn lanes and just a lot of things that we'll be able to take care of those things. And those things don't happen overnight. It's going to take a little time, but we're going to get there.
What is you may not know this, but I'll throw it out there. The I-57 interchange was going to also do some work. Have you heard anything about what that timeline or the ETA of that is?
So what they're telling us right now, IDOT is saying it will be on a June letting. And so if they let it in June, it'll be probably late next summer, early fall that they would be able to start doing some work. It's a 3-year project, so a 3 construction season project. So.
Okay, and that could either be good time or bad time depending on what things happen. But we knew it was going to come again, right? So you just kind of deal with it, and that's why they make signs and
we've
things.
Been, working with IDOT to say, hey, let's minimize any closing of any ramps to make sure we can get people in and out to these facilities.
It's like a lot of things, though, Jeff, is that if we'd have built it, if the IDOT would have got it done before we started any of this, they wouldn't have built all the extra that we need. And now they're going to get a chance to see what kind of traffic levels and the projects. It is going to happen and what it's going to do. Needless to say, Chick-fil-A filled up all the lanes of all the roads. I tell the story. There's 21,000 cars that go from the interstate, and then the day they opened, 20,000 of them exited right there that day.
It's fun. It almost becomes, since I live in Mattoon and when it comes to Charleston, it's automatically on the way home. I always look to see how long the Chick-fil-A line is, and it's just because I'm like. It's just amazing that every day it's 40, 50 deep car-wise, and people love their chicken sandwiches. We've learned that here in the Coles County area.
Right.
The other thing that's happened, obviously, since then is Mattoon will also be going through a change in management style.
Right.
And we'll be going to a city manager form of government. Explain to me what people will see, the timeline again on that, and then kind of how the change happens and develops over the next, I don't know how many months. So I'm going in with this one a little blind now, but I wanted to be it that way because I want to get it from the guys who knew it firsthand.
So, the mayor has been reaching out to the council members, discussing what questions do they have. He's been talking to attorneys and trying to get the process going. What things do we need to do? What questions does our council members have to make sure we address everything that needs to be addressed going forward as setting up the manager form of government? And then from there, I'll leave it over to the mayor to discuss.
I have been spending a lot of time with this, and I think it is going to be a very, very positive change in the way we do business. And I'm not saying we do bad business now, but we're really looking at the long term. We're looking out far enough down the road that what could happen if we don't do this? Are we going to be left behind? Are we going to get people that can't work as efficiently as we do today? We do that pretty well today, but that is not guaranteed. Under the management form of government, I think we're going to see a whole different management style. And I think we're going to get experts running the city as opposed to, and again, the department heads, they're trained in doing their jobs, but the commissioners are not trained in police work and fire work and public works, and they're not engineers. They are not the ones that ought to be managing the department heads. They ought to be saying, what direction do we want to go as a community? What do we want to get done? Not telling them how to do it, but set the long-term view instead of the short-term view. Of course, a citizen group got this thing started and they got this passed, even though it didn't pass in a long time. But I come from a world that uses this style of government. I know how this works, and I will have an important part to play in making this conversion. But yes, I've been working with outside consultants, people that can come in and tell us, what to expect and how to go about it, because they've been through it themselves before. That's how they become a consultant, is do it once and then go sell your trade. But no, I really strongly believe it will be successful, and people won't realize that until it happens.
Okay, so I guess what is the next step? I mean, is there a deadline or a timeline or something like June 30th of some year that's when the city manager or city administrator becomes the manager, or how does that work?
There's some things that go on simultaneously. We got to change ordinances. That's one that can start right now. Okay. We've got to get other things set up I am developing a timeline right now. We expect when we have the election in April that when they take the new council takes office, that they will take office with everything set up, everything ready to go, and that's about the time frame. But there are steps to get there. And yes, there will be a timeline,
Okay.
and we'll be following that.
So the April 1st, no joke, election, right?
Yeah.
Is how many council members, and is that a mayoral election as well, or
Yeah,
what is
everything. That's one of the problems with what we got right now. Everybody's elected at the same time,
Okay.
which means everybody can go at the same
So
time.
we have what? Is it 5 council members and a mayor right now, or 4 and 1?
4 commissioners and one mayor. 5.
So we could actually then, I hate to say this, but you could clean house and have 5 people come in and to prepare a brand new form of government.
Right.
That's kind of scary in a way.
Well, no business runs like that.
Yeah.
With this, we can do some strategic planning about who's going to come in when, and do some work in getting the right people in. And it's not going to be. I think we'll actually get better candidates today. The commissioners, I would argue, and you've done this a long time too. They put in more time than they need to. As a mayor, I won't have to put in the hours that I've been putting in before. And the fact that I'm the only one on the council that doesn't work full time, so I have the ability to do that. Kyle probably gets sick and tired of me sometimes, but I really don't think that's the case because we work together very well. But really, I think it will definitely be a better deal.
So you are running for mayor again?
I am running
Okay.
Unopposed.
Unopposed. Okay.
And
That's just because I didn't run,
so
because
there's-
I knew you.
right,
and,
right,
things like
yeah.
that.
A lot of people say that.
If you believe that. Now, Kyle, I mean, this affects you, right? I mean, you don't have a city administrator and a city manager.
That is correct.
So assuming that, I'm just going to assume that when the city manager job becomes available, are you going to apply for that? Or?
Yes, I will be
All
applying
right.
for that.
I figure, but I guess we want to, for lack of just, complete, transparency, we want to, wanted to see that was the fact.
Yeah, I've been the city administrator for 12 years, and I want to continue doing administrative manager roles, and we kind of run 90-95% like a manager form of government anyway with this council, and we've set some ordinances in place, so it's not going to be a huge change, but it is, like Rick said, is for the future. It does eliminate a whole new council coming in because now they're going to be staggered terms.
Okay.
And the way that works is with this new election, the 2 lowest council members only get 2-year terms.
Oh, the vote total? That makes
Yeah.
sense. So that's the plan. So I guess for the layman's terms, let's say that you were, you got the job as city manager. What would be different from what you're doing now as a city manager? A little bit. Could you give specifics?
I'll be more in the roles of the hiring and firing of all department heads, and hiring the city attorney and stuff like that instead of the council. So some of those things can be sped up a little bit. They will still put a limit on what I can spend, but if it's in the budget, if it's in the budget underneath the threshold, I don't have to go to them for all these, little decisions of buying a $25,000 tractor or something like that for a department. So it does give the manager a little bit more power and leeway on the day-to-day stuff, but the big policy things are still going to be run by the council. They'll set limits again on spending. If it's not in the budget, of course, it's going to go to them. But the hiring and firing, they don't have to get involved with every public works person that's being hired.
Okay, and same with you, Rick. I mean, if you won the re-election April 1st, is the mayor under a management type of do things differently? I mean, less hours you said, which is good, but
it is it's part of it is very similar. I have the police department and the city attorney and the city administrator technically report to me, but the problem with that is they also report to Kyle today. So the police chief reports to Kyle. The police chief reports to me. Legally, I have the right to override him. That's a terrible situation to be in. If we didn't get along so well and keep each other informed about everything that's going on between us, then you have a very poor organizational structure to do that. And the other thing is, I think we're going to get. I think Kyle is going to have. He's going to have set objectives, that things that he needs to get done, and he's going to be measured against those objectives. And if he were to fail, or I'm not just saying Kyle, I'm thinking he's going to fail, but if any city manager would fail, then they can be relieved of their duty anytime that they don't do their job.
You read my mind on the next question. So is it kind of like it's a forever job until you either retire or mess up? I mean, for lack of a better way to say it.
If they do a good job.
Yeah, so I mean, if they do, yeah.
I would argue that's the case. Hopefully, no different than any other corporate executive, a chief operating officer or a CEO does today. Any of them can be fired if they don't do their job.
Okay.
They all have to be trained and qualified to do the job, and we will have job description, job requirements. His reporting is going to be a little different. That's one of the things we're going to work on, but he's not going to have to worry about someone standing over him and saying that has never done his job before, by the way, and telling him what to do.
Now, are you working with Charleston at all to kind of get their feel for it since they are in a city manager, or is that rivalry rep up and nobody helps?
No, we work well with Charleston. Actually, I was in a meeting Friday, a managers and administrators lunch meeting on Friday, and I was already talking to Scott Smith wasn't there, but Steve Pamperin, their deputy manager, was there, and we were already talking. And I kind of wished I was able to. Last week we had some things going on, but they have their annual retreat, and I was like, man, I'd like to go on and watch how you guys do that retreat, because this is where they're getting a lot of their information from the council members.
Shameless plug, Scott and Brandon are on next week to wrap up Issues and Attitudes for 2024. So we kind of end the year with kind of learning about what we did in 24 and as we move towards 25. Obviously, the city manager change is a big thing for 25, but are there other plans for the city right now that, in terms of work, the lake, downtown, or whatever on the agenda?
Yeah, 24 was a great year. We got a lot of stuff accomplished with new roads out there. We've new stuff out the lake, the kayak launching and upgrades out there at the campgrounds, and we're going to continue to improve everything. We're doing some studies on Swords Drive, because we know that's going to be a big issue, whether we have 2 turn lanes back going south to the sports complex. We know we need a couple turn lanes right going back to the interstate. Detro Drive, we've already kind of have this planned out, but 2 lanes back to Mattoon. So we are continuing to look at studies and engineering and doing the engineering, so that way as funding becomes available, we can get those done. We're hoping to be able to extend this project that we did with Wooddell Way, maybe even going a little bit farther west into the property behind Walmart. So we're working on a lot of those things. We'd love to see Swords Drive widened and working on those plans.
Is there going to be any thought of like a sign at the southern entrance to tell people to come into Mattoon that way instead of getting off at the north entrance with or is that even in?
So there will be. The IDOT doesn't want anything. They always want everybody to be on IDOT roads.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful. The local people will come in the back way, and they're already finding ways around the backside of Home Depot and Remington Road. But yes, there will be some signage of how to get to the sports complex.
And not only that, there's almost assuredly going to be an app. If you're ready to come here to an event, you're going to have an app. It's going to say what your schedule is, how to get to where, how to get to Chick-fil-A the easiest way. All those things will be available. This is going to be a high technology kind of operation.
And we'll have an address, right? Remember, because remember the junior baseball complex doesn't have an address. Did you guys know that?
Was not aware of that.
It does not have officially an address anywhere.
Well, one thing we do have, everybody's got addresses back there. But there'll be maps laid out. It'll be an extremely well run. Keep in mind the company Sports Facilities Inc., who is really taking over the management. They're not the board, but the board hired them to do that work, and they're the ones that issuing even the bonds. Not Sports Facilities, but the not for profit is. But they're running 50 of these things across the country. They have the latest technology. They know the best marketing. Talk about signs. They're going to be signs 50 miles away talking about where this thing is.
That's cool.
It'll be top notch.
We had a parks department change. A long time, Kurt Stretch retired. TJ Hess took over, and from all I can hear is it was smooth. He had Lightworks his first time, and I went through it. It looks great. So it was a pretty smooth transition. People were worried about it, but it seemed to be smooth from your point of view.
No, it was. He had a few years with Kurt, and Kurt still is around the area. He'll ride his bike through the parks early in the morning and
carefully, we
just
hope.
say, how's things going, But we joked around if he wanted to come back and help, and he's like, no, you guys have it. I've done my share.
When we did that, of course, we had a succession plan in mind, and that's what we've got to do even more often. And TJ, he's got his own ideas, and he does some things, and they're really good ideas.
There you go. We're talking to Rick Hall and Kyle Gill today from the city of Mattoon. We have about 8 minutes left on issues and attitudes. The other thing I wanted to mention today and get his name out there, I do not know this guy, but I heard the story and everybody's been talking about him. Police Officer A.J. Rowley and his heroics. You guys want to talk about him just for a moment?
Yeah, AJ came to us from Arcola, great police officer, just one of our outstanding officers who, again, he's on night shift, right, and he sees some smoke and says, like, I'm going to go find out where this is coming from. So he's cruising around town trying to figure out where it's coming from, and it was a good thing that he did because, every minute counted there, and he got everyone out just in time. So
that's cool. I mean, when he saved 5 people and a couple of pets, I mean, it's an incredible story that's kind of made, regional news. But it's incredible when you think about a guy that does that.
The last child, he carried little kids out. And by the way, they if you can imagine a small child, how disturbed they would be if their house was on fire. Some of them were actually going to go back into the house. And the last one that he carried out, was a blind guy.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
A gentleman that was trying to find his way out, that was disoriented. And it was literally right after that, the ceiling fell in right behind him. I mean, they've got all these on their cameras, on their, this is a real. There's no question that he saved lives.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, if we have a Citizen of the Year award and he doesn't get it, we have problems.
Right.
I know that we've done a lot of stuff with Emerald Acres, but this guy needs something. So it's just a great story. I mean,
And I was fortunate to see the video, but you see our police officers, and I've seen several videos of our police officers doing work and how calm they stay, and it's just amazing. We have a great group of guys, and we are fortunate for what we have, from the administration down to the patrol officers.
Downtown Mattoon has been putting on, good events now, for the last 2 or 3 years. It just seems to be growing and growing and growing. Talk about what's happening downtown. Some new people are putting groups together downtown to promote it. Talk about that if you can.
So we have, several people trying to do the same thing or do similar things of bringing more people downtown. So we have Alex Benishik, who's our economic development. He's trying to work on several different things. Angela Hampton is working with the downtown businesses to do draw people in. They had the cookie walk and stuff like that downtown. Trunk or treat continues to grow. The Christmas parade continues to grow.
The drones. We don't want
The
to forget the
drone
drones.
show this year, that was pretty neat, and a lot of people like that. Where I was standing at the 14th and Broadway, you hear the little kids going, "Oh wow!" Cool.
It's like fireworks in the winter, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
so
cool.
it was a big deal.
Yeah. So we just want to continue to play off that and try to figure out how to get more people downtown on the weekends. Maybe have some more bands in the summertime. But again, we need to work with the businesses too, so we're not duplicating things.
But, with the work that we did, the city did downtown with the sidewalks and the lighting and the curbs and the streets and all that and infrastructure. But there's a lot of other people in the community that help buy that property, refurnish the property. We got apartments upstairs. There aren't very many storefronts that are vacant anymore. And the ones that need to be repaired, they're being repaired. It is starting to look really great downtown, all the way from 14th Street all the way to 21st Street.
Yep.
And even including Western and that's lighting and all that's going to be, fixed too. So it all looks the same. So that is a big deal.
What's the status of the old Villa Pizza? I know the car ran into it. Are they going to repair that or tear it down, or we know anything?
Working with the insurance company, they do have a contractor, so just trying to get the okay for that. Not a lot of structural damage there, but more cosmetic than anything.
Okay.
But they'll be getting that, and I'm thinking he's wanting to do more of this catering side out of that building.
Okay. Long John Silver's building went away. It's kind of sad when you think about it. It's been there forever, and now it's gone. But its progress continues to roll on, and then the Lambos will just develop that whole area.
Yep. They've got a plan where they're working on developing that. Hopefully, it's something as nice as what Charleston's is, right? But no, that's what his thoughts are.
Okay. Christmas tree pickup. I know we haven't even got there yet, but I know it'll be, people start putting them out, and when should they have them out, and how long can they keep them, all that stuff, Kyle?
I don't remember that one. Email went out Friday on that, so I did not look yet, but it'll be, the week after.
Okay.
Jeff, one thing.
Do a quarter.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I want to, if we got a minute.
Yeah, we got 3 minutes left.
Okay, so housing. That is one of our biggest projects right now. And we're trying to develop all kinds of different kind of housing. We've torn down, 20 houses or close to that this year, the most we've ever done to put in new housing in those areas. So we got apartments going up, condominiums, mid-income housing. We've got some old trailer courts that are torn down to build areas for housing. We're doing a residential TIF, which you might go into a little bit about, but
So
Yeah.
we're working with a consultant to do a TIF that goes from Old State Road down through Pine Acres, down 6th Street, wraps around Lafayette, and so down around the Lumpkin area, so that we maybe be able to put a subdivision back in that area, do something with the old trailer park, and maybe some more housing out on Old State Road. So the city owns the land. We're just trying to do everything we can to get different types of housing for all the needs in Mattoon.
Because that's one of the biggest issues. I mean, we can put all these great things on, but we have to have an increase in, enrollment. I'm thinking Eastern there, but increase in, really population to make this thing work. And you want them to live in Mattoon, but moving to Coles County would help as well.
Correct.
But there got to be places for people to move that that they want. So, a couple minutes left. Anything else you want to talk about? Do we have job openings? I know you have a grant writing job opening and things like that.
Grant writing job opening. We have a couple positions in Public Works we need to fill. Going to be looking for a wastewater treatment operator, and then a new position that we're looking at is a maintenance person for both the water treatment plant and the wastewater treatment plant. Someone that is familiar with pumps and electronics for that, running those facilities.
Okay. Rick, anything else from your point of view?
Well, we've talked about a lot of things that we're getting done right now. I am just as optimistic about the future as what we've got achieved right now. I really believe we're going to see things that occur in Mattoon that will be as good as what we're doing right now, that's going to help grow our community and help pay, have a new tax base that we can start paying for other things that we need to do.
And Texas Roadhouse is coming, right? That's really what now that Chick-fil-A's up,
right.
You got to make sure that it for sure is coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it is, and we actually just issued, I was going to say when we were talking about addressing, we just issued the address the other day, so it's 1500 Fort Worth Way.
There you go, folks. Rick Hall and Kyle Gill. But anything else you didn't get out of this show to learn a little bit about Mattoon, the question that everybody's been asking, Texas Roadhouse will be open at some point, 2025, or hope
Yes,
yet?
it'll be
At least.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming in on this Monday, and have a great holiday season. We appreciate all your hard work over there in Mattoon, Rick and Kyle.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then next week on the same show, we will be talking to Dr. Brandon Combs, the mayor of Charleston, and city manager Scott Smith of the city of Charleston. And I believe it might be Scott's last appearance on the show as the manager, because I think he's getting ready to call it quits, right?
Right.
Yep.
So he has got a little time to pick his brain
Yes.
before
Brandon is going to go another year. I talked to him yesterday. He's going to go another year.
That's cool. So we'll have those
Another
two
term,
on.
I should say.
Yeah, another term. We'll have those two on next week. Both these guys are running applying for city manager and running for mayor. We broke that news. So a good breaking news day on this day. Everybody have a great day. We are WEIU.